We'll figure it out as we go.
Absolutely.
Go live. We are live. Hello. Paul Baxter says, what time is the stream starting? It's starting right now.
Right here. Right now. Right here. Right now.
There aren't any other lyrics to that song, are there?
No.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Two Guys Talk Tech, episode 42 again, but I updated it to 43 in retrospect after I got a message from someone saying this is like the third number 43 there's been. And I'm like, look, I don't forget to renumber them, okay?
I don't forget. I simply
Don't.
paradoxically affect the time-space continuum.
Or perhaps I do it on purpose just to get people talking about it. I don't. Anyway.
No, that requires planning.
Yeah. Damn it, you're on time. We sure are. We sure are. Yeah, I'm going to try and start drinking my coffee as fast as possible because I'm crashing a bit at the moment. Caradog and I have been working on his... you remember the Code keyboard that we were going to convert to Type-C? We've been working on that this afternoon, and it's gone so-so. We were recording a video for it. This first version of it we're probably going to scrap and redo with the second keyboard and say, right, this is our second swing at this. Here's what we learned trying it the first time. Now we've kind of perfected it. We can make a coherent video.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we nearly had it. We got it as far as working on a we've modified a Type-C connector onto the keyboard, and it works with a Type A to Type-C cable, but it's not working with a Type-C to Type-C cable. So there's some kind of negotiation issue with it, and we're not quite sure what's wrong with it.
We also don't know if the ports are the problem.
Yeah, we've done a lot of fiddling, and we're currently at the point where we're just like, we might have the cable might be wrong, we might be using the wrong type of port, and yeah, so we're at the point where it's like, we need to go back and do some more. We need to do some more research on exactly what we've got, because we might have the wrong type of connector here. So yeah, which is a shame, because when it worked on Type A, I thought we were 99% done. It was like, awesome. Now we just hot snot the whole lot into the case and close it up.
Absolutely.
You know,
vast quantities of glue.
Yeah.
It never went wrong.
Yeah.
Except for that one time.
So yeah. Oh, we're nearly there. Yeah. I think we'll have something out of that. It's just, it was harder than it looked. Conceptually,
Yes.
It's very, very simple, but in practice, it was harder than it looked. So,
I guess the other question I should ask as well is ask Code if they make just a drop-in USB board.
That'd be cool.
Because that's the V2 of the keyboard. That's the V2 of the keyboard.
Yeah.
And there is a V3, which has USB-C.
Ah.
So I wonder if there is just a drop-in USB board.
That'd be an awful lot easier.
Yeah, but where's the content? Where's the journey?
Yeah.
Where's the storytelling opportunity?
Yeah, the journey is an hour of me trying to solder bloody enamel wire and then going, why the hell aren't I using my micro pencil for this? I literally have the micro pencil tips for this exact job now, and I'm not using it. Whatever. Anyway. Demny BS, hello there. Stuck at work but listening. Good. Hello. How about the Gigabyte hack? Gigabyte hack? Or you talk...
They got hacked, as far as I'm aware.
Do you know anything more about that? I hadn't heard of this.
They were hacked. Data was stolen.
Oh.
I don't know what else.
I hate it when that happens.
Yes.
Fair enough.
I don't know what was stolen. I don't know if it was like customer data or if it was trade secrets or something. But...
Trade secrets on how to make a power supply. Oh, sorry.
Wait, hold on. Perhaps that's actually what it was. The files were booby trapped.
Yeah.
With power supplies.
Oh god, what a mess. Oh well. Chris Kingan, thank you for the $5 super chat, my dude. How's it going?
Absolutely.
Loads of AMD and Intel secrets leaked. Oh.
Possibly. Because
customer data as well.
Gigabyte make motherboards for both of them. So yeah, perhaps that'd be interesting information that they happen to know.
There's a ransomware attack by the Ransom EXX hacking group. Fair enough. I mean, if it's a I don't. Ransomware attack implies that a whole bunch of their data has been encrypted and is being held to ransom. So I'm just like, Are you telling me they don't have backups? You know, I don't know. Just why is that still a thing? But
surprise encryption enhancement.
Yeah. I don't know. Future CPU specs could be. Yeah, that's true. Tiger Videos. Anyone know of a good hard disk bad sectors scanner? I like CTools for Windows because it's really simple and it works, and it's free, basically. So yeah, it's not the only one that's out there, but I think CTools for Windows is all you actually need. There's various other ones as well. There's one that I keep forgetting the name of that people always recommend. I wasn't such a fan of it because I think it's a bit too overly complicated for the given task, but yeah.
There was one called Vector or something like that. I seem to remember getting mentioned somewhere. But
maybe
searching Vector obviously brought up lots of graphic stuff.
Yeah. CTools for Windows is what I use though, so yeah. Hackers can disable backups. There should be cold backups. Offsite cold backups. Yeah. It's just your backup should not be hot at all times.
Or at least they should be, but also you should have not hot ones.
That's right. It's just if your only backup is always connected and can be disabled, then it's a bad backup.
This is technically not a backup because you could delete it with user error.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. In the same way that RAID 1 is not a backup. CCleaner is malware. That is confirmed. Yep. CCleaner doesn't have a sector scanner anyway. So yeah,
it has the ability for you to secure erase drives.
Yeah, it has a secure erase tool, which was one of the That's one of the last things that I was using CCleaner before it got declared as malware.
Yeah,
that was the only time where I still considered CCleaner to be a useful thing to have in your toolkit because it was a simple program that had a secure erase tool on it.
Windows has a secure erase tool built in.
Yes, you can do it from the format command, can't you?
The format command.
Yeah. I just don't know how.
It'll zero the drive out.
Yeah, I just don't know how good that is. I've used that at one point. However, I used it thinking I've no idea if this is considered to be forensically secure or whether it's just a feel-good erase.
But, I mean, it depends what you're looking for because I can't remember who it was who was saying it, but someone was saying that basically as long as you do a single pass of zeroing, you're basically not recovering anything complete. You're certainly not recovering anything complete. And anything that is being recovered is the NSA. And if the NSA are looking, you've got bigger problems. You're already so far up the creek without the paddle.
Yeah. If the NSA are doing data recovery on your hard drives, you're already in Guantanamo Bay. You know? So I think your data is probably not what you're concerned about. Let's see. Yeah. Did I get my hands on a Fractal torrent? No, I don't have such connections, but I'm this close to buying one. Like, I always say that Fractal cases are really nice, but I always want to buy something more interesting. However, when I saw that Fractal torrent, I was like, that's actually that's one that I want to buy and look at, and B, I'm like, that might be the case to replace my NZXT H500i. Because I've had my foot...
To be honest, not a lot. There's not much that a case needs to do to be able to replace that to be a better case.
To be a better case, you're correct. But the thing is that I've had my foot halfway out the door with my H500i because the airflow is garbage. And it's at the point where that poor airflow is causing my computer to run slower than it could. And it affects me when I'm doing video encoding and stuff like that. My CPU is not boosting quite as hard as it could. And also my graphics card runs louder than it needs to and stuff like that because I've got a 3070 Founders Edition, which looks gorgeous, but it is a noisy boy unless you give it really good airflow. So anyway, but the problem is that if the obvious choice would be sort of fine, well, get a Corsair. You love Corsair cases, right? But the problem is if I do that, I'm going to want to go into the Corsair RGB ecosystem, and that means I'm also going to want the Corsair water cooler, which means now I'm not just changing the case. I'm changing the case. I'm changing my RGB fans. I'm changing my RGB controller. I'm changing my water cooler, and I could do all of these things, but it means there's a lot more to it than just changing the case. Now I know that that's optional, and Caradog is just like, you don't have to do any of that. I'm like, but I do though. However,
I mean, you're already halfway there. You've already replaced some of your fans with Noctua.
Yeah, but they're the ones that aren't RGB and can't be seen anyway. But
so you can just replace the rest with them, and then none of them will be RGB.
Yeah. However, I saw that course. I saw the Fractal Torrent, and I'm like, that looks super cool.
I have no concept of how big it is, though. I have no idea if it's...
It's the size of the Lianli. It's the size of the Lianli, basically. So it's not a compact, but it's not a super big boy either.
Yeah. I just hadn't seen it in context to like a human at any point.
Yeah.
I'd just seen the case. I was like, I don't know if this is Corsair 7000D sized.
Yeah.
Or if this is, 220T
that's
sized.
Right. Because that's one of the first things I looked up, because one of the things I like about my H500i is that it's a fairly compact case, and if I'm sitting upright at my desk, if I'm not slouching, I can see over the top of it. And when you can see over the top of your tower, that makes it look significantly smaller. Whereas when you can't see over the top of something, it looks significantly bigger than it actually is. So being able to see over the top of it actually makes a big difference. And the Fractal Torrent, I won't be able to see over the top of that. But on the flip side, I was sitting at my desk looking over, and I'm just like, I don't have a problem with that though. My desk is big enough that the size of the as long as I don't want an obnoxious big boy tower, but I'd be fine with the Lianli, which is almost a big boy case. That's a Landcool 2 for those of you who don't know, and the Landcool 2 is moderately sized. It's not small, it's not huge, it's somewhere in the middle. And as I say, the Torrent is about the same size, but the Torrent looks very cool. It looks very unique. It's RGB'd up to the eyeballs if you buy the RGB edition. And also that RGB will be very neutral. I can match that with my NZXT Kraken water cooler, and I won't be mixing brands. Because Fractal don't make water coolers and stuff, I won't feel compelled to get all Fractal gear. Whereas if I bought a Corsair, I'd want to go all Corsair and do a Corsair meta build. But with the Fractal, I can mix and match brands without going, oh, it doesn't all match though, you know.
Yeah.
And also initially when I saw the price tag of it, I was like, oh, that's going to be really expensive. But it's £180, and considering
for the ARGB version.
Yeah, it's £180 for the RGB version, which comes with 5 RGB fans and the little RGB strap where the power supply goes. And I'm like, that's actually really good value for money.
Especially as they're actually pretty good fans.
Yeah. So
they're also really thick. The fans are like 30 mil thick or something, or like 35 mil thick.
Awesome. That sounds good. It's big enough to house them, so sure, put big thick boys in there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
it's just kind of a case where it's just like, huh.
Yeah. The only reason why I didn't just straight up buy one the other night when we were talking about it in Discord was just simply because I've blown a lot of money on hardware in the past 2 weeks. I put a lot of I did end up buying 2 6600 XTs for the computers we built last week. So obviously, I bought those at, what were they, 370, 375?
Yes.
Yeah. Those were 370 and 375 a piece. So I put 700 quid into graphics cards this week, and there's the rest of the money that I spent on those computers as well. So I've probably blown through £1,000 or £1,500 just buying stuff. Yes, I will sell it all eventually, but I've got a lot of floating money at the moment, and it's another £180 on a case that I'm going to keep for myself. If I buy that Fractal Torrent, it's going on my desk at home, and I can do the review, but I don't know how well the review will do, because everyone's doing the review of that case at the moment as well. So it's not unique content. And I know that I shouldn't worry too much about unique content, because it's not about whether someone else has done it before. It's about the people who want to hear me talk about it specifically.
Absolutely. But it's also a case that you're not guaranteed to get more than the
Yeah.
value of the case.
That's
from
right.
the YouTube video.
If I do a review on it, that review is not going to make £180 back. Certainly not within 6 months. So
exactly, and that's the kind of a timescale you have to look at it over.
yeah. So at the end of the day, it's not me. It's not a matter of, this is not a business expense. This is not just channel content. This is me spending money that I don't need to spend.
Yeah.
So
certainly right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe when you hit, the 200,000 subscriber mark,
Yeah.
such things may be more possible. But
Yeah. So yeah. That much being said, though, I have a suspicion I'm going to buy one. I think this. I think we're stuck in a. This is one of those times where it's just like, I hate to quote The Matrix. However, this is one of those times where it's just like, I've already made the choice. Now I'm just trying to understand it. I'm going to buy a Fractal Torrent. I just need to find the excuse to justify it.
Are you at the same time also going to buy Alpha Cool thick radiators, because they come in 180 mil, so you can then do the 180 mil?
I'm not custom water cooling. I'm not custom water cooling.
Why not?
It's too expensive, man. Like, I'm not going to get a custom loop into my computer for less than £400. Let's be real. And like, okay, so now £180 turns into £580. It's just like, no. I'm not made of money. So yeah, but either way, I think I'm going to buy one, and yes, there will be content on that, and it will. Yeah, do it now, live on air. We'll see. I need convincing people. There are several ways of convincing me, but I'm not going to say what they are. So yeah.
I mean, if they just happen to appear at the shop, just a case in a box, just ta-da.
I mean, someone wants to buy. Yeah. Anyway,
Fractal, if you just want to post one.
Yeah. Buy it or no balls. You shut up, Chris. You know what you're doing. Mike White with the £5 super chat, though. Thank you very much. Here's a £5 toward the Fractal Torrent Fund. Thank you. There we go. £175 to go, everyone. Thank you very much. So, right, I'm going to roll back a little bit. Someone it's rolled off chat now did say, why is CCleaner considered malware? Piriform, who makes CCleaner, have been purchased by... Is it Avast or AVG? It doesn't really matter. They've been purchased by...
Avast owned AVG.
I can never remember which way round it is.
But
Piriform have been purchased by Avast or AVG, whichever the parent company is. And they filled it up to the brim with adware and stuff like that.
And it installs a bunch of other stuff along with it.
So it's got a whole load of junk bundleware and adware in it, and it wants you to buy premium versions. Yeah, and it's
very aggressive with the push for premium stuff.
And now it's just like, buy now to make your computer go faster, and all of that song and dance. So it's now just another generic speed up your PC magicware app, and it's just like, no, you've lost me, you've gone.
It isn't explicitly malware, but it's just a case of it's trash now.
It is now trash.
There was the thing about AVG scanning all of your files, then copying them off to their servers or something, and selling them or something like. There was something really weird with like the way that the scanning tool was working. They were effectively selling the files they were scanning.
Yeah, because let's not forget that AVG sells customer browsing data.
Yeah, that is known.
Like the thing that security software is supposed to protect you against. Yeah. And they're just like, well, someone's got to pay for the free version, right? And it's just like, you're not wrong in that if you're not paying for it, then you're the product. However, that's incredibly poor taste for privacy and security software to be doing.
Yeah, basically.
So it's just like, no, it's trash, it's garbage. Demny BS, however, is not garbage because they sent a $10 super chat, $165 pound. Oh, that's dollars, so it's not worth as much. 100 and let's say it's about 177. No,
I'm detaching myself from this.
170
after insulting the Netherlands and Belgium.
Thank you very much for the $10 super chat, Demny BS. I'm not literally going. This is not the game we're playing. However, thank you very much. It's going to go toward it.
However, if one happened to turn up in a delivery.
Anyway, so yes, it's all trashware, it's all terrible, and it's all awful, and bleh. So yes, you've got a bit of uninstalling to do. I'm afraid so, dude.
It depends on which version you have installed. If you have, I think it's like a 2017 or older version.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
If you've got a really old version, yeah.
Yeah,
To be
then
honest,
it's fine.
you'll know if you've got an AVG version because it'll be pushing all kinds of junk at you, going, "Oh,
Yeah.
buy this, buy that."
Yeah,
You know, if you've got a really old edition of it, then technically you could leave it there. You know, like
Yeah.
I think I've got an old version installed on this computer. CCleaner. Yeah, I do. I've got CCleaner installed on this computer. What version is it? I'm just loading it up now because it's going to ask to update. But
15 hours. Also, oh yeah, that was the thing with the.
Yeah, I've got CCleaner 5.76 installed on this computer. That one is fine.
There was also a case of the updater in one of the versions was backdoored.
Yeah. However, hang on a sec. I'm just gonna hang on a minute. Desktop. Let me just quickly studio mode just so I can see what I'm about to do. Yeah, here we go. So I've just opened CCleaner, and this is what now pops up. This is an old version, but it wants to update, and now it's just like, oh, now you've got to get AVG free, get more features. Do you accept? You know, just like by clicking, all the AVG and just an optional offer from the makers of CCleaner, AVG antivirus free, and it's just yeah. That's how you know it's time to go. That's how you know it's time to go. So
basically,
this is what So it's just I can cancel out that. I'm going to say no decline. I don't want, and I've left it on here just because, as I say, CCleaner it's still got its uses, but you see what I mean. This is why we've got our foot out the door with it.
Absolutely. Also, there was a mention somewhere about I remember one of the versions of it, the updater for it got backdoored. Or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, as Teltac says, its message saying relying on Windows Defender. You mean relying on the only good one?
Yeah. Windows Defender is the best antivirus for Windows 10. So yeah. Right, zipping down some of the chat. Obscenity says, "Is my Corsair Void wireless headphones still live and kicking?" Yes, they're still. It's my Corsair Voids that I replaced the battery on. That's still my main use headset at home.
I'm still sad you didn't replace it with like one of these.
Well, that's
just kind of.
I want to USB-C it, and I may do so depending on how this all goes. And when I do that, I might put a heckin' big lipo. Take a shot, Chris. I might put a heckin' big lipo on it because I can.
Another one.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't know how I feel about my Corsair Voids because I'm kind of. I've got the itch for something new, and part of me wants to bring. Where have they gone?
Which you have lost.
Yeah,
in the shop.
No, they're nearby somewhere. Part of me wants to bring my Rig 800 home and try dailying that for a bit because I really like the Rig 800, but I haven't tried wearing it for 8 hours on a Sunday. Because a Sunday afternoon for me is sitting in front of my computer all day. That's what I do on Sundays, and I haven't tried wearing them for 8 hours. I can wear the Corsairs all day long and not have any discomfort. The Rig. They clamp pretty hard, so I don't know if I can or not. But they're also very lightweight, so yeah. So
it's
make of that.
It's also possible that you might be able to slightly modify the rig just to make that more comfortable.
Yeah, I think there will be.
Band shaping and positioning and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Show us the USB-C mod. Well, I'll show you how far that's got so far.
Unplug.
Yeah.
Detach.
Just stick this under the bench cam at the moment. It's all very jank at the moment because we're it's a work in progress.
It's very much a test setup.
Yeah. So this is the USB board that came from the keyboard. It had a micro B connector on it there, and I've desoldered the micro B connector and I've put this enamel wire jumpers over to our Type-C breakout. So this works. This works with a Type A to Type-C cable. Then that end plugs into the actual keyboard itself. So this is functional. However, it doesn't work with a Type-C to Type-C cable. And we're not sure why. We've been fiddling around with the jumper over here that's supposed to set host or device. At the moment, it's solder blobbed, but we've had a solder blob there and a 5K resistor. Neither of them seem to work. So there's something else that's wrong with this setup, and we're not sure what.
Could there be an issue with, because obviously we've got all of this stuff on this board, could that be somehow interfering with the sense on that? Just because it might be pulling these differently?
It's not impossible. It might be worth making another one of these up that just jumps straight onto those and just bypasses all the ESD protection.
Because
and just
it's possible, but unlikely.
Because I don't think that's it, but that's something else that we could check. So yeah. So yes, that's a thing. Right, rolling back up a bit. There was a couple of other. That's getting onto another topic, but we'll see. I missed a load of other stuff. Ooh, yeah. Right, hold up. There were questions that I wanted to answer, and I've lost them because they've rolled off now. Have I had a chance to try Windows 11? Still haven't tried it yet. However, there are official ISOs available as of this week or today, or
from the Microsoft website.
Yeah, so you can now download an official Windows 11 preview ISO, which means you can now just download it and install it without having to do a Windows 10 install that upgrades, or without having to make a custom installer with someone else's one. That, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of them out there that are completely fine, but it's always nice when there's an official ISO available. So I haven't tried it yet, but I'm probably going to now that an official ISO is available. So yeah, I'm not very excited about Windows 11 though. At the moment, as far as I'm concerned, it's a reskinned Windows 10, and I don't care. At the moment, I'm struggling. Like I do know why it exists, but the reason for its existence is of zero interest to me. It's part of, this falls back to the fact that Microsoft want an excuse to kill off a load of legacy stuff. That's the purpose of it, is to kill off legacy support.
I would presume so.
Yeah, and that's a legitimate reason for its existence. You know, if you don't like that, then you stay on Windows 10. You know, so that's why Windows 11 exists. But that's not a compelling enough reason for me to be like, yeah, Windows 11, man. It's just like, it's just a reskin of Windows 10. Who cares? You know, it doesn't do anything that Windows 10 doesn't.
I think the thing that will make it different, or make that conversation different, depends on how well whatever the hell the new Intel processors are called. Because they're heterogeneous.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously everything before has been homogeneous. Because it's all heterogeneous, the scheduler's been completely faffed around in Windows 11, but that hasn't happened in Windows 10. So the new Intel stuff will work better on Windows 11. At the very least, by default, out the box, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, and it might be a case that, you know, 6 months later there's updates to Windows 10 for the schedule.
Yeah.
No.
Not yet. I'm thinking about it. I've opened up the scan website for the Fractal Torrent, and I'm thinking about it.
No.
So yes, let's see. Then I'm going to roll down to the bottom of the chat. I tell you what, I'm going to go back to just the whatever the current page of chat is, because I've missed everything else now, and it's too hot. It's too difficult to keep up. So yeah. Let's see. What are the primary power rails of a desktop motherboard if no power, and how to troubleshoot it? I don't have a simple answer to that one yet, because I'm still learning that. However, I've been sent recently a couple of a list of typical power rails to look for, and I've also got bookmarked somewhere another cheat sheet for desktop motherboard troubleshooting. So I'm acquiring the information for that, but I don't have a straight answer for it yet, I'm afraid. So
acquiring knowledge.
Yeah. But that's something that, again, you might want to, if you join the Adamant IT Discord and ping me, I'm more than happy to send you what I've already got. It will be out of context. I can't explain it to you, but I can say, here's the list of just of stuff that I've already acquired, but not looked at yet, kind of thing. So if you're looking to try and get into ATX desktop motherboard troubleshooting, here is the cheat sheet that I've acquired from other people and now need to look through and understand myself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
Fractal Torrent for downloading pirated games. Right, okay.
Also, just given the fact that it's called torrent, I expected there to be more water stuff.
It's a torrent of air. But I suppose torrent is typically a water-based thing, isn't it? I don't know. I like it.
More space, or just the option to buy more space for hard drives because torrenting.
True, yeah. To be honest, I like the fact that it's actually got a name. It is the Fractal Torrent, because one of the things that's kind of boring about a lot of cases is that they're all numerical designations. It's just 4000D, 220T, P400A, and don't get me wrong, I kind of like product numbers because it's easy to determine where they are in the product stack and stuff like that. However, for something like a case where it's supposed to be a very visual thing, Fractal Torrent is a nice thing. This is clearly a boutique case, and I like it as such.
Ah, yes.
So yes. Right. 3950X or 5950X. If you can get both used, the first being cheaper and the second is there a difference? The 5950X is faster, so if you can afford it, it will be faster. I think it's that simple, really, isn't it?
I didn't understand any of the question that you asked.
Yeah.
I just heard words and then secondhand.
Yeah. I think the implication there is the 5950X worth paying extra for over the 3950X? So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, basically.
Although my question would be, why do you need a 3950X or a 5950X?
Yeah, unless you're...
If you're asking the question, I would wager that you don't need either.
Yeah, you may be better off looking at a 5900X. If you want a really quick CPU, then you should probably be looking at a 5900X because that one is more gaming focused. Whereas the 5950X is, if you're not multi-threading on this, then you've got the wrong CPU.
Absolutely.
It's a workstation CPU that has been put onto a desktop package, basically.
Yeah, basically.
So yeah, which is not to say it won't work. It's just you're paying a lot extra for it over the 5900X for
more cores.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
More gaming.
Yeah.
Actually, probably worse gaming performance.
Yeah, the 5900X will probably give you better all-round performance and will cost like £300 less, kind of thing.
Yeah, basically. So,
yeah,
it depends what you're doing with the machine, obviously.
Yeah.
If you're doing something that actually legitimately needs 16 cores, 16 real cores, then yeah, absolutely. And obviously the gen-on-gen improvements from 3000 to 5000 series makes it worthwhile. But I just find it difficult to believe that someone would actually necessarily need a 5950X or a 3950X.
Yeah.
But also a case of, something like a 5600X, that's still 6 cores, 12 threads. Or like the 11400F. They are certainly dramatically better processors for gaming because of how much less they cost.
Yes. Yeah. Suffice to say, I think, it's just... That sums it up. If you're not sure which one you need, you probably don't need it. Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at the Fractal Torrent again. I'm opening up pictures of it for no specific reason. So for those of you who have not seen the Fractal Torrent, I'm going to, it's just, this is a Fractal Torrent stream now. So this is the Fractal Torrent. This is the case that everyone is talking about right now. And it looks cool, man. It looks really cool. It's got these two massive 180mm fans at the front and 3 140s along the bottom. And you can reorient those. You can put the 140s at the front and the 280s at the bottom if you want. So like for me, I want to front mount my radiator, so I would swap the fans around and put the 140s up front so I can stick my radiator up front and then have those big 180s at the bottom blowing air up onto my graphics card. And then, or the RGB version is with RGB fans. There's a non-RGB version that's cheaper, and the RGB version also has this LED strip up there, which is just a nice little accent strip. And yeah, man, it looks really hecking cool.
It's also a top mount power supply one, which is
Yeah.
dramatically uncommon in 2021.
I think that's purely just because they wanted a cold air intake onto the graphics card.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's because they wanted bottom intake. But it's just a case of, absolutely. Interesting that it's a top mount. And as I said, they're uncommon, which adds a little bit something to it. A little bit of something to it. Words are hard. Huh.
Yeah. What's the price of it? In Great British pounds, the RGB version is, I said it was 180. It's actually 190 pounds. 190. That's on pre-order with Scan. I think they sold out because I'm sure that was in stock the other day. The non-RGB version is 159. And it's available with dark tin and light tin or a solid panel. Man, Fractal really know how to stock properly. That's amazing that you can choose between tin, no tin, solid panel, windowed panel, RGB, non-RGB. You can pick the one all white. Yeah, that's really cool that you can actually just select the one that you want. I want the light tint RGB one. That's what I want. And I think there's a severe danger that I'm pre-ordering this before the end of the stream because I like it. I like it a lot. I really want this. I think that looks really hecking cool. It's a very wide case. Like if you look at that, open image and new tab. Like there's the width of the power supply. It's quite a wide case. That is a slight concern. Look at that. It's got cable management down the back. That's cool, man. That's really cool.
All it needs is two little LEDs at the top of the case shining on your connectors, and then it'll be proper 90s again.
NZXT did that with the H400. They had back panel illumination, so when you were fumbling around the back of your computer, your USB ports were illuminated.
I think Gigabyte came up with a solution of that as well by putting LEDs in the USB ports.
Yeah.
They did that for like a single motherboard and then went, that was silly.
Yes, that was probably ludicrously expensive.
Asus also did it on an X470 ITX board. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, I think they did that. It was like a mini ITX board that cost like £600.
Oof.
I was just like
600. Yeah. Okay. That's clearly one of those just Halo boards where it's just like you don't need this, but we've made it because someone will buy it.
Build it and they will come.
Yes. Kurt Dorr, Graham, I appreciate your information on CCleaner. You paid for the thing. We'll be uninstalling now. Thanks for everyone in chat too. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for the super chat. Thanks for the 14 Canadian dollary dues. It's just. I take no pleasure in delivering that news because CCleaner used to be a really handy tool, but oh, how the mighty have fallen. Part of me is almost angry at Piriform for selling out because they had a really nice little software studio. But then on the other hand, the guy who owned Piriform is probably on a beach right now with $1 billion in the bank.
On the beach.
Yeah, with a lot of money in the bank. So part of me is just like, what a heckin' sellout. But the other part of me is just like, dude's probably set for life now. Who am I to judge, I
mean, there is Bleach Bit, which does the similar deleting of temporary bits and bobs and clearing of caches and whatsits and so ons.
Yeah.
If that's something that you needed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Jazz Enzo says, what would happen if I inject 220 volts on CPU core? Your CPU would exit the universe.
There would probably be a crater.
Yes. There will be sparks and probably a bang. So, yeah. Cheapest version of the torrent case is €200. Is that for the non-RGB?
That's in Finland, though.
Is Finland expensive?
Yes. As far as I'm aware, and very limited knowledge on this, Finland basically has to import its stuff from Germany. Or something weird.
Oh, that's a bit of a shame. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah. 200, that's not daylight robbery considering the cheapest version here.
It's £155.
Yeah. But then when you say cheapest version, is that with the solid panel or the tempered glass? Because the cheapest version in the UK is the
146.
black solid at 147. Yeah. But yeah, the standard non-RGB tempered glass version is 156, and I mean that's got to be what 170, 180 euros, because euros are slightly higher, aren't they? So yeah, 200 euros for the cheap one. That's a bit dear. Like that's not horrendous, but yeah, that's pretty pricey. Yeah, I feel bad for you, man. So yes, let's see. Azendude with the 1771 US dollars. Here's a proper tenner in pounds. Thank you very much. I was about to say that's a very specific donation. However, thank you very much.
Also, what happened in 1771?
I don't know.
No, neither do I. But it just felt like
in 1771, a tenner was that's not going to work. There's a joke in there somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, thank you very much for the super chat, my dude. Much appreciated.
Oh yes, and as Tony said, because he was the one who posted it, they also have high sales taxes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're on 20%. So yeah. Let's see. You're close enough to the Civil War. Yeah. Well,
Frazzing, French.
Something about tea in the sea and stuff like that. I don't know US history. So yeah.
It's fine. It's not like they have any culture.
Oh, god damn it!
I thought you sorted that out.
I haven't done it yet. I'm just going to move a step closer. Are we still on? Oh, I'm not logged in yet. So yeah, this is fine. We're a step closer, everyone. We're getting there. Dear Scan, please sponsor me. Right.
Dear Scan.
Yeah. Okay, there's another conversation that keeps coming up as well, and that is the everyone's talking about the gigabyte exploding power supplies, and I wanted to talk about this on stream because I thought that's kind of interesting. So yeah, are we switching to sit down at the moment? We started standing up because we were going to, well, I say build another computer. We were going to throw together another computer today because we've got like a build that we didn't do last week. But at the moment, I wasn't dead set on that, so we might just carry on doing a little bit of chatty stuff. I'm going to sit down for now, though. Hang on a sec. Let's go into sit down mode. Coming closer.
Ceiling.
Coming closelier. There we go. Hi everyone, how you doing? I'm gonna move the mic.
Hi, Mike. Bash.
Still figuring out how to mic stand.
Boff.
It's fine, there's a limiter. There we go. Cool kids stay standing. That's Teltac with his heckin' new electric standing desk because he's too lazy just to lift it up and push it down manually.
My desk is a standing desk. It stands all on its own.
Well done. That was a joke. There we go. Get that scan free shipping. Yeah, I'm gonna do it, Chris S. Yep. I've got to register on Hexus and answer some tech support questions. What is it? 20 useful posts on the Hexus.net forums.
Basically.
Yeah, and you can register for free shipping with Scan. So I need to do that because that's really not difficult for me to achieve, I'm sure. So yeah, by the case now, we're getting there. I'm close. I think it's going to happen, I think. But I might have to say I'll buy it at the end of the stream, so you guys are compelled to stick around to the end. So yeah, the Gigabyte Power PSU situation, man, what a heckin' mess. So for those of you who don't know, one of the power supplies that, as you know, with the graphics cards, a lot of websites such as Newegg were doing what's called attachment, where if you want to buy, say, a 3080, you have to buy it bundled with a case or a power supply or a motherboard or something like that. And essentially, it was a cheap way for the shop, Newegg, to get rid of the crap they don't want by attaching it to highly desirable products. And people will buy it and they'll buy the crap because it's the only way of getting the GPU.
Absolutely.
And so in this case, OC UK, it's 1,000 valid posts. Bloody hell. That's, I mean, yeah. That's definitely for the select few.
Christ, I think that's more than I ever made on the forums I was active in when forums were active.
That's a really high count. It's
because OC UK have basically gone, we don't want to be in business in the UK anymore.
Yes. I can't help but feel you might be correct there.
They just want to go bust. As far as I can tell, they burnt all of their goodwill with the custom building, the general enthusiast market.
Yeah. I don't know, man. OC UK, what happened? What happened, guys? Anyway, I don't know. I think they work just by sponsoring streamers and stuff like that. So hobbyists who are just getting into building buy all their stuff from OC UK. I think that might be what's going on, but I don't know. Yeah. I don't know enough to really comment on this. So it's just like, I'm actually not going to talk about this because I don't know enough, and I would literally just be gossiping. And there's layers to this. I have done research on this topic, and I'm telling you facts. Here's my 30,000 foot overview of the situation, and I don't actually know what's going on, and I'm just gossiping. And if you're in the bottom category, you should stop talking, basically. You can speculate and give a 30,000 foot overview, which is what we do all the time on this show. But if you're literally gossiping, you should stop talking. And that's exactly what I'm going to do on that. Anyway, so yeah, Gigabyte were selling these. What was it again? What 750?
The GPP 750 GM and the GPP 850 GM.
Yeah, the GPP 750 and 850 GM power supplies. They were getting bundled with graphics cards, and they already had really bad reviews. And then these ones were literally just sparking and going bang under test and under load when
under light load.
Under light loads, yeah, like as low as 60% kind of thing. Now, like if it initially when I heard this, I was just like, oh, okay, cheap power supply, actually not very good. Movie at 11, who cares? But the problem is, this is a power supply that is rated for 750 and 850 watts. Yeah. And, with Gigabyte's name on it, you kind of expect that to be up to snuff, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, when I first heard about this I was saying in the Adamant IT Discord, I was just like, well, what was the rated wattage of these power supplies? What were they? And they're probably only worth £40 or something like that anyway. Why are people acting surprised that a cheap power supply isn't very good? You don't use them in a gaming rig. But then Caradog was just like, no, it's a 750 watt power supply that's sold as a gaming power supply.
And being bundled with 3070s and 3080s.
Yeah. So it's
thus the inference is it's for gaming PCs.
Yeah. And so it's pretty bad, basically. And Gigabyte apparently saw NZXT go toe-to-toe with Gamers Nexus, lose horribly, and was just like, hey, that seems like a fight that we'll win. And so, yeah, it's a bit of a mess now. And I think there's going to be... I highly recommend checking out the Gamers Nexus videos on this because, at first I thought this was going to be Gamers Nexus sort of going... oh, look at these exploding at 150% load kind of thing. It's like, I know they shouldn't explode, but you can't really attack something for going bang when you're at 150% load.
Well, you can. Because the ATX spec says that it should be able to OPP.
Yeah, exactly. It should gracefully switch off.
Absolutely.
However... it's a case of, well, no, they were failing at like 60%. So it's like, there's no excuses here. It's a bad power supply. And Gigabyte, instead of actually going, okay, this wasn't our finest moment, let's try and make good here, they've literally just doubled down on this and said, fine, we'll lower the we'll lower the overpower protection slightly so it cuts in a little bit sooner. And it's like, if these
that doesn't help because it's failing at like 60%.
That's right. If these things are dying at 60%, that's not going to do anything.
Yeah. It's also, as Noel D said, when Gamers Nexus pulled the power supplies apart, they had 3 different models and they had 3 different sets of parts in.
Yeah.
And that's not something you expect from a, quote, branded 750 watt power supply. You expect that from the insert generic grey box power supply here, rated at 450 watts, that can actually do 190.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. Like, there's lots of people that are going, oh, I never liked Gigabyte anyway, and I'm never going to buy from Gigabyte again. And it's just like, one thing I would say to be wary of as well is be wary about fanboyism and also anti-fanboyism. Is that this is a mistake from Gigabyte, but don't forget, be careful about using this as a point of going, oh, Gigabyte are trash now. It's like, well, no, Gigabyte still make really good motherboards as well. You know, some of the best motherboards money can buy have got Gigabyte written on them. So be careful about this. This is a mistake on their part, and they've got a PR problem at the moment where they need to actually turn around and go, okay, this particular product we've made is not a very good one, and we should now do something about that.
Or at the very least, this product we have rebranded.
Yeah, because like because the product is available with multiple different internal components, it's not an in-house designed product. Yeah. It is a product that they have purchased and branded, and that again, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
if it matches it, if it meets spec.
Yeah,
this is the thing is. I have seen lots of people be like, oh, this is just a rebrand. It's like, well, yeah, like with Chinese cases, this happens all the time. Really good example of this is like, I have always been a little bit, some of the case reviews I've done have been for brands like Aerocool and GameMax. And the Aerocool and GameMax cases are Chinese rebrands. And I've always been a little bit wary about doing them where I'm like sort of, oh, it's just the same Chinese rebrand casing though. I don't know how I feel about these things. Yeah. But the difference is that the company has purchased the Chinese product and they have customized it and outfitted it to their own specification. And if you get that right, you can produce a great product.
Yeah.
You can bring a great product to market. But if you get that wrong, you can end up with a case like one that we had in the other day, where it was again that same Chinese brand. Like I don't know who the brand is. It's going to have a name, but I don't know who it is. And this was a case where it had a tempered glass front panel with 320mm fans just up against the glass.
Yeah, they were
completely worthless. Just
basically touching the glass,
millimeters from the glass, because it's all there just to look good, kind of thing.
As in like one or two, not like a measurable distance. Like,
so it
was mad. And then like all that there was for venting at the bottom was about this much on either side, at the bottom of each side.
Yeah,
and the vents were behind the fans.
Yeah, and that's an example of the rebrand case that has not correctly been brought to market. Whereas a brand like GameMax or Aerocool would have been like, I think both Aerocool and GameMax have probably got one or two versions that they're not proud of, but most of their cases, they will have been like, okay, no, we want our own custom front panel on this that has airflow and has got the fan sitting here instead, so there is airflow and so on. And it's been made, and they have correctly brought it to market. So rebrands are fine when they're done correctly, but this particular Gigabyte power supply is clearly an example where they've gone like, we have not quality controlled this, we have not checked this, we've simply brought the product, slapped our branding on it and stuck it in the shops. And that's a case of Gigabyte now need to look at that power supply and be like, okay, this was not our finest moment, we need to immediately stop selling this and overhaul this product, and we probably owe quite a few people a new power supply. That's the correct response to this. And it's just, and this is the thing, is just, Jonathan Maybury there, you say Gigabyte was good, but now they're not trustworthy. Again, you have to realize that Gigabyte is a very, very big brand. And what this situation with their power supply is, that's nothing to do with, for example, their motherboard division, because their motherboard division is designed and manufactured in-house. So that's a completely different situation to their power supply, to this particular power supply, and that's what I'm talking about here. Is now I'm not trying to stand for Gigabyte here. That's not what this is about. I use all kinds of brands all the time. My point is we have to be careful to look at this objectively and critically, and not just be like, well, Gigabyte is trash brand now, I will never buy another Gigabyte product.
Because in the sense of stuff that is affected and how it affects the market, arguably this thing with Gigabyte is less intentionally bad, less intentionally, quote, evil, than like what MSI was doing and got called up for only a few months ago, where it was trying to buy off reviewers to not publish negative reviews.
Yeah.
MSI's done that recently.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a case of, if you do that, well, now I'm not buying MSI and I'm not buying Gigabyte.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you look at like Asus RMA process for the average consumer, it's absolute garbage tier. So okay, so you now don't buy Asus as well. So that's 3 of them.
Yeah.
So who do I buy if I want a motherboard now? ASRock and BioStar?
Yeah. There's not a lot of choices, actually, are there? Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of a case of, if you do that, it's then kind of a case of, if you start jumping on stuff like that, it's like, I feel like it's very much one of those things where you have to review each individual product.
Yeah.
As the product and say, the Gigabyte power supplies are not good. That's why we have independent reviews.
Yeah.
You know, the Gigabyte gaming monitor is a very good gaming monitor for its price. Therefore, it's a product that's worth buying.
Yeah.
You know, the review of this EVGA graphics card was very good. Therefore, I buy this EVGA graphics card because it was reviewed well. That's the importance of independent reviews. And why what MSI did, and also what Nvidia did to who's the Australian one?
Hardware Unboxed?
Yes.
Yeah.
With them saying, we are no longer press sampling you because you won't review cards in the way we want you to review them.
Yeah.
That's worse,
Yeah.
arguably, because they're trying to get rid of the reviews entirely and mean that you as the consumer can't know what is good or not.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the thing. Yeah, and I think, Mike's unboxing reviews now too. Don't buy a company's bad stuff, just get the good stuff. This is why reviews exist.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I think that's the answer here. And like, I do agree. There's lots of people in chat that are just like, oh, well, you know, if we don't hold companies accountable and et cetera, and it's like, yeah, absolutely right. But the problem is that we live in a world where there actually isn't a lot of choice, which is what we're talking about here, is like, and you know, if we're going to disallow any company that has done the bad, then suddenly we find ourselves in a situation where there's almost nothing we can buy.
Yeah.
So we have to just simply look at a product critically and be like, yeah, we've looked at the independent reviews. This is a good product, therefore I shall buy it.
Yeah.
Or we've heard the bad reviews. We now know that the Gigabyte brand power supplies are, you know, certainly Gigabyte's power supplies are probably a brand that you definitely want to avoid. Yeah. At least until there is later evidence that they have completely overhauled that division. You know?
Exactly. And also, it's also the case that with that it matters what Gigabyte's response after this is now, because obviously they've had a terrible response right now. But if they turn that around, it's a case of that doesn't win them brownie points. It doesn't say, well done, you did a good job. It's a case of you did what you were required to, with much wailing and screaming and gnashing of teeth.
Yes.
But you eventually did the right thing.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
People should always be given the opportunity to do the right thing. You know, you have no obligation to be the person you were 5 minutes ago. You know, so just at any given time, as far as I'm concerned, Gigabyte could just turn around to Gamers Nexus and be like, you know what? We have cocked up here. We realise now that absolutely, you could say sort of they should never have tried to do this in the first place, but at any given time, I fully believe in them, in their right to turn around and go, we have cocked up, let's start again.
Yeah.
Let's make this right. You know, they can do that anytime they want, and I will forgive them, because that's the correct thing to do, because otherwise there can be no progress. Otherwise it's just cancel culture. You know. Yes,
and I think there is a huge difference between holding people accountable, saying you need to do the right thing, saying that we are going to apply large amounts of social pressure using the platforms we have, and the inverse, the negative, the bad response of these companies are trash. Everyone should go assault their staff. Everyone should call them names. People should, you know.
That's right.
They are the same thing.
Because that's the thing
in function, but also the results are massively different. And it's a case of one is acceptable and one really shouldn't be.
Yeah, absolutely.
One builds a better society and one, trashes everything.
Because that's the thing.
And just makes people angry.
If you want accountability, the cost of doing the right thing is the accountability in this case. It's kind of like with NZXT's H1 fiasco and their burning PCI Express riser cables.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, everyone wanted a pound of flesh over that, and it's just like, well, no, the accountability for NZXT is the fact that they are going to lose a lot of money recalling and fixing this product. And that is the accountability. It's just like, yeah, that is the price that you pay for doing the right thing here.
Yeah.
And I'm not expecting an apology from you, and I'm not expecting anything else, because I know that in order to do the right thing, it's going to cost you a lot of money. That is your accountability. And it's the same with Gigabyte here. The accountability is to correct the problem, because that will cost them a lot of money to correct the problem. And that is the price that they will pay for having made the mistake. So that's the thing, and I think that's why I wanted to bring this up, because I wanted to talk about this, because I knew that there would be a lot of baying over Gigabyte. And like the other reason why I say it is, like, the video that I'm going to publish later on today is for that Fractal build that I was threatening last week, which has a Gigabyte motherboard in it. And I know there's going to be comments on that video of people going, oh, trash motherboard because it's Gigabyte. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that motherboard.
Yeah.
It's a perfectly good motherboard. Just because Gigabyte are in the mud over their power supplies right now doesn't mean that their motherboards suck. And that's really why I wanted to bring up this topic and call this soapboxing. But that's the thing, is we need to cultivate a culture where we're looking at things critically and not just bandwagoning. Yeah, that's right.
Because that's also a massive thing with this. Is kind of the case of, I feel an awful lot of people who haven't been affected by it are gonna kick up a whole bunch of noise and just kind of make an awful lot of complaints when they haven't been directly affected. The people, but possibly not actually do anything to help those who have been affected by, like, telling them.
Yeah.
And stuff. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, etc., 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 blah 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 blah. So yeah, but it's like the fact of, obviously from my point of view, I've always very much liked Gigabyte's high-end boards.
Yeah.
So I've always had a...
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing, like, Von Cleve there, sorry if I'm butchering your name, I've read complaints about Gigabyte's software crashing systems as well as for their GPU RGB. Yeah, well, ask people what they think about NZXT CAM or Corsair iCUE. There's numerous people that have said, oh, iCUE is rubbish and it crashes all the time. CAM is rubbish and it crashes all the time. It's like, if you actually discounted all the companies where people on the internet have said that this thing is bad, you basically can't have anything.
Yeah. So
this is the thing. It's just like, you're not wrong. Like, RGB Fusion, they're now on RGB Fusion version 2. Now, RGB Fusion 1 was garbage. Make no mistake. I will entirely agree with that. RGB Fusion 2 is significantly better. It's still not great, but it's really hard to find RGB software that doesn't suck. So that's the thing, is a case of, if you're going to say sort of, oh, the software isn't very good, well, none of it's very good. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't demand better.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That is the state of the matter. So it's like, we can't discount Gigabyte because their RGB software isn't very good, because no one else's is very good either.
The counterpoint to that is, don't use RGB.
Yeah.
In the sense of that, and use separate standalone hardware controllers.
Yeah.
Because that way there is no software, it cannot crash.
Yeah.
Etc.
Yeah.
Or at least it cannot crash your computer. The controller itself could crash, but obviously because it's standalone hardware controller, it doesn't matter. So yeah.
Yeah. And so Asus Armoury Crate, everyone hates Asus Armoury Crate, and also
it does seem to have massive issues, Asus Armoury Crate.
Yeah, and MSI Dragon Center. I really hate MSI Dragon Center because it's a big, enormous, clunky program just to change the color of your LEDs.
Yeah.
Again, it's massive overkill. It's just.
But then, like, MSI Afterburner, fabulous product.
Yeah, MSI Afterburner. That's everyone's darling. You know,
fabulous product,
Yeah.
but it's still branded from MSI, and it's like,
Yeah.
how did you make this
That's
and
right.
this?
Yeah.
How is this
Yeah.
not like this?
Yeah. Mr. Guru says Gamers Nexus are just shit stirrers, in your opinion. Yeah, I don't agree entirely, but I do understand where you're coming from, because whenever Gamers Nexus have got a bee in their bonnet about something, I find myself going, oh, what has happened now? And like, again, with this power supply, the first thing I wanted to know was, well, what were the conditions that they were testing under? Because, you know, like, they're not wrong, but they always take the worst case scenario. They always take the scenario of, this could burn down your house. It's just like, it's probably not going to, but yes, theoretically it could, but it's probably not going to. But on the flip side, it's also a case of, I don't think it's, as much as I do agree that they tend to take very worst case scenarios, and they tend to say, like, if this thing doesn't have really amazing stats, therefore it's bad. You know, like, you know, if a case doesn't have really good airflow, then the review is going to be a picture of the case with flames coming out of it, which is completely unfair. You know, like, take for example my NZXT H500i. That case got blasted by Gamers Nexus. Now, yeah, the airflow in it isn't very good, and I want to get a different case because the airflow in the H500i isn't very good. But it's fine. It works. My computer has nothing wrong with it with this garbage airflow case. I want something better because it means I could eke more out of my system, but the case works. Yet, according to Gamers Nexus, it's a trash case that needs to be burnt in a tire fire kind of thing. So from that perspective, I can see why Gamers Nexus take flack, and I can kind of see why sometimes I tend to roll my eyes at them. But on the other hand, what they're doing is demanding better. They're saying, we want things to be the best they can be. We want manufacturers to be striving to make something that is better than the thing that came before it. We you know, when Gigabyte make a power supply that is objectively a bad power supply and is proven to be unreliable and potentially dangerous, we want to say, hey, why is no one talking about this? Why is it acceptable for Newegg to be attaching this to top-end graphics cards, and no one has a problem with that? People should have a problem with that. Therefore, we're going to make that a problem. We're going to shine a light on this problem. So, Gamers Nexus, they're kind of, sometimes they have to take the extreme end of the scale. Sometimes they have to throw a brick through a greenhouse to make a point. But that's the thing, is that sometimes that's what you got to do to be heard. Sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes it takes a brick through a greenhouse to make yourself heard. Yeah. And that's Gamers Nexus. They're a brick through a greenhouse. Yeah. You know. So I do agree. I don't necessarily like them. And yeah, they take a situation and twist the knife. Yeah, I agree with that. But on the flip side, if no one else shines a light on something, and if no one else will twist that knife in order to make it known that the knife is even there, yeah, I don't know. I kind
of feel like it's because far too many people have far too lower standards.
Yeah.
Too many people have way too low standards.
Yeah.
And then when Gamers Nexus come in with standards, everyone goes, oh, you're just making a lot of noise for no reason.
That's like, right.
Well, no, they actually have standards and principles that they stand by.
Yeah. Like, there's so many times that we look at marketing and we're like, oh, this is marketing mumbo-jumbo kind of thing. But we just accept that, even though the marketing mumbo-jumbo shouldn't be a thing. We shouldn't have to be able to decode marketing mumbo-jumbo. And Gamers Nexus are turning around being like, this is marketing mumbo-jumbo. This is bollocks. They shouldn't print this. Yeah. Because it's bollocks. Yeah. And so I feel, you know, like that makes them unlikable. But on the flip side, you know, again, I feel like the world, they're the hero we need, not the hero we deserve, or whatever, you know.
Absolutely. And I think also they catch a lot of flack because the average attention span on YouTube is like 45 seconds.
Yeah, they're often very misinterpreted and very misquoted.
Yeah. People use them people will use the data that Gamers Nexus collect to prove a point that isn't the point they made.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
And the problem is it's a very easy fallacy to make, because part of me wants to turn around and be like, well, they don't help themselves in that respect. But then on the other hand, I'm just like, every time I've actually sat and watched a Gamers Nexus video from start to end, I'm just like, no, that was a good point, well presented.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
I have no... I am a fan of their content, therefore I am biased.
Yeah.
However, I have at no point found them inflammatory.
Yeah.
Because Steve, as a presenter, is very dry.
Yes.
Their content is very dry.
Yeah.
So if dry content is being viewed as inflammatory, it means the content is shocking.
Yeah.
If someone who is a very dry presenter, with very dry data being presented, is being viewed as inflammatory, that probably means there's a really big problem.
Yeah. And I think one thing that bears mention is that their video titles and thumbnails are often very inflammatory. But also, that's YouTube. And basically, I'm not saying that it's acceptable, but that's literally what it takes to survive on YouTube right now. Ask me how I know. It's a case of, to survive on YouTube right now, you have to have shocking and inflammatory titles and thumbnails. Yeah. It's literally all that works with the current algorithm. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to avoid it. I'm trying so hard not to play that game, but my numbers are falling because I'm not playing that game.
Yeah.
And it is literally and there's many other YouTubers that are in the same boat where they're like, no, I'm not playing that game, but they say that watching their numbers fall, and everyone who is surviving is like, you have to. It's the only way. Now, it's not how it should be. It's not how we want it to be, and YouTube absolutely need to deal with this and stop that from being a thing. It is YouTube's responsibility to fix that, but that is currently the world we live in. I wish I didn't need to breathe oxygen to live. However, I currently do. So I will continue to breathe oxygen. It would be very nice not to have to breathe oxygen and survive. However, that is my current disposition.
I didn't hear the beginning of that metaphor, but all I tuned in was I need oxygen to survive, and I'm like, yes, Graham,
that's right.
Congratulations on your GCSE biology.
However, it is a colossal inconvenience to me,
Absolutely.
So LTT's gone downhill. So many ads. It's what it takes.
Yeah,
it's what it takes. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about LTT, because based off of hearing the comments that Linus makes in behind the scenes videos on the live stream and stuff like that, it's a case of clearly I would get on with him because we are of a similar age, a similar experience of the computer, if that makes sense. We had similar formative experiences getting into computers and things like that.
Yeah.
So we have lots of things to draw on for that. So, but it's at the same time, it's like, the channels and stuff, it is very much it feels like it's very much, it's Splendor.
Yeah, I watch every 1 in 4 LTT videos because the other 3 of them tend to be stuff where I'm just like, I don't care. This is let's call it. If I said this is YouTube bait, would that make sense? It's just kind of. This is I'm sure this is what gets views on YouTube these days, but it doesn't captivate me as a tech enthusiast.
Yeah.
So yeah. And that's the thing. It's just yeah. So yeah, that's it. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, we should get onto a different topic. I think we've I think yeah. I think change topics. I'm going to open.
Boff. Oops.
You're right there.
I dropped the DVI HDMI converter, my jobby adapter thingy.
Yeah. I'm going to jump...
My dongles!
I'm going to jump into the Discord and check suggestions, because I asked the Discord for suggestions. 2 Guys Talk Tech. I've told them to hashtag it. So now
I'm sure most of them will be about taking shots.
Yeah, I think there might have been. Yes. Plus Nomad says drink a minimum of 1 cider every stream. If you start building up a tolerance, make it 2. So yes. Right, where was other stuff that came in? There was talk about the AMD 5000 series APUs. The video that I'm publishing later on today, I built with a Ryzen 5600G, and I played Doom on it. And it was okay. It wasn't very good.
Which Doom?
Doom 2016.
Oh, okay.
No,
I thought you were going to be like, I played Doom 94. I'm like, congratulations. so can an Apple Mac.
Yeah. So yeah, and I mean, watch the video when it comes out for more. But the TLDR is that the 5600G, it could run Doom 2016, and if you dialed the graphics down, it could run it at about 50 FPS, but you've got to compromise on the graphics. However, after doing a little bit of that and running some Time Spy on it, it's still nowhere near like a 960 or a 1050 Ti.
No.
So as such, it's a case of, no, they haven't reached the point of a low-end graphics card yet. However, so it's a case of, yes, you can technically play games on it, but no, I would not recommend it as a cheap gaming computer. It's not ready for that yet. So,
no, it's also not explicitly designed to be that.
But that's I feel like this is what I want from an APU, though. I'm waiting for that APU that comes along that can match, that can do 1080p gaming on low graphics and be a reasonable experience, kind of thing. Because that will be the case of you can now build a low-end gaming, a bottom-end gaming computer with actually a pretty decent CPU in it. So when you buy that graphics card, you've got a good CPU. Because the problem with the 3400G is you can build with that, but then when you put the graphics card in, you're like, awesome, I've now got a really good graphics card and a bit of a naff CPU.
Yeah,
that's okay, but not very good. Whereas the 5600G, what we really wanted from that is the idea that when you do put a graphics card in, you've then got a kick-ass CPU still, you know.
Yeah, and which you have got.
Yeah.
The CPU side of it, it's within sort of 5 to 10% of.
But that's the thing,
5600X. So from the CPU side, it's absolutely fine for that. And also, certainly in the current market, it's very good because it's a case that it at least gives you a functioning computer, so you can still watch YouTube, you can play Rocket League, you can play CSGO, you can play... I was about to say, you can play CSGO, you can play Counter-Strike Source. Hold on a minute, that's the same thing. You can play Valorant, stuff like that. So it does what it is designed to do in a way. It does the holdover very well because the CPU side of it is still very good. And it does the Office box very well as well.
Yeah.
And also it's obviously a case of it's not explicit in Office box, but that machine it needs to have a bit more power than the bog standard Office box.
Yeah.
It does that well.
And also you're not going to get held back if you're doing a desktop, because like this was built for a productivity station, and like for example, for quite a while in the early days of the channel, the computer that we're recording on, because I've had the YouTube rig that we're streaming from at the moment, I've had this thing for years now, and for a while I was running it with no graphics card, and it was just recording on integrated graphics using QuickSync. However, that I reached the limit of that, where having two 1080p monitors connected, and then trying to record in OBS was too much for the built-in graphics. So it was a case of you could hit the limits of it without too much difficulty. Whereas I think and I would imagine the same is true with, say, an 11600K. It's got onboard graphics,
probably,
but it's very, very easy to hit the limitations of that in a media situation. Like if you started doing 4K video playback, Or, well, no, video playback will be hardware accelerated now. So that
Oh,
might
what
be a
you
bad
mean?
example.
Sorry,
but,
on the 5600G.
well, I was going to say like an 11600K, it probably wouldn't be too difficult to hit the graphics ceiling of that and be like, integrated graphics. Whereas the 5600G, because it's got what is effectively a weak source graphics card built into it, you're not actually going to hit that ceiling unless you're actually trying to play games, in which case you're in a completely different category now.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. So, yeah. And it is very much a case of it is still a gaming PC. Because obviously, how much is the 5600G? 230-ish?
230, 240, something like that.
So that's 240.
Yeah.
You pair
about the same price.
You
as
pair
the
it with
R5.
a half decent A520 motherboard. That's £70. So up to £300. You stick some cheap RAM in there. That's 50 quid.
Yeah.
You stick a cheap 200 watt power supply in there. You wouldn't. You put a 430, 500 in there, but the point still stands.
Hypothetically,
that's 50 quid.
Yeah, hypothetically, you could
a
build
£20 case.
Yeah.
A £20 hard drive.
Yeah, and like I mentioned this in the video, the last time I tried to do this, I think I built a £300 gaming rig with a 3400G in it. That was basically that, where it was a case of I built with the cheapest stuff I could find to do it as cheap as I possibly could. And it was a case of, it was 720p, 30 FPS, but it played games.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not necessarily something I'd recommend, but if it's a case of, if you have no money and you want a gaming computer and you're like, I've got no money, what is the cheapest that I can play games for?
What's the cheapest I can do buying new?
Yeah, buying new. Yeah, I mean, the sensible thing is to buy secondhand if you're on a budget. But
also, it's a case of that buying new. You then go, okay, I've now saved up 130 quid, 140 quid. I can buy a secondhand 1060 or something, that kind of thing. That's more where I was kind of building it from, because obviously you don't need massive power and things like that.
Yeah, that's right.
And then it's a solid CPU for when you do that.
See, this is exactly it, Von Cleave there. Some YouTuber vids about how now you can make a gaming PC without a discrete graphics card. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's just like, yeah, but also no. Like, I'm hoping that in that video they do point out that, because that's the thing. It's a case of, like, the takeaway from my video that I'm hoping will come across is the fact of, yes, you can play games with a 5600G. However, it is not a magic bullet. As I say, this thing will still, if you can't touch a 962GB, you don't really have a graphics card. You've got, you're still very much built-in graphics, and that's what the 5600G is. It's still very much built-in graphics. But on the flip side, the fact that I could have Doom 2016 in a playable state with no graphics card, that's not bad going.
Yeah, absolutely,
that's not bad. So yeah,
but I think the other thing with it as well is obviously the case of there's no market for it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But
I think that's also
there's no market because there is no product.
True. Yeah.
So it's that catch-22.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. It does beg the question, if I'm saying sort of, you can play games on it, but not really, but sort of you can. It's a case of, well, okay, who is this for then?
It is for people who don't want massive 3D acceleration. They want to be able to drive two 4K displays. They want to be able to have the 3D accelerated Windows desktop and things like that.
And that's exactly why I built this computer, because it's for someone who is doing productivity. They're going to have multiple monitors. They're going to be running multiple OSs. So we want a beefy CPU in there.
Yeah.
But if AMD beefy CPU means you need a graphics card as well. And right now, there's no such thing as a cheap graphics card.
Yeah.
And the last time I did this, I built with a 3950X. And I stuck an old RX 570 in there, which was an old second-hand card. I'm just like, we're putting this old second-hand RX 570 in your computer, which I know is kind of jank considering the amount of money you're paying for this. However, you literally just need a graphics output, but the 3950X doesn't have one. So we're putting this in there so you have something to connect your monitors up to,
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas now we've got these APUs, it's a case of, cool, now you've actually got a fairly respectable CPU in there, and it will drive a couple of 4K monitors.
Absolutely. The only issue possibly with that is we've now hit the point where the graphics card is faster than the display outputs you have on the motherboard kind of thing, because the motherboard only has a single output or 2 display outputs.
Yes.
If you had a dedicated GPU, even like a 1030, that would have 4 outputs, 3 of which you could use at one time.
Yeah.
So that's a different kind of issue.
Yeah, although you can daisy chain off of DisplayPort, can't you?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Most boards are, a lot of boards have got DisplayPort on them, so
is that actually a thing now? Because when I was building,
that one does.
When I was building the boxes we've got in the office, there was a single motherboard out of B450 and X470 that had DisplayPort out.
Yeah,
at the time. So
I wouldn't want to make bets. However, suffice to say, I mean, the Gigabyte B550 Aorus Elite that I built with, that has a DisplayPort on it. It's got HDMI and DisplayPort.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, that's a good mix, because you've got a HDMI because never not HDMI, and you've got a DisplayPort for more exotic stuff.
Yeah,
that seems like a good mix. For God's sake, don't put a VGA on the motherboard. Just kill VGA. Just kill it. It's over. Stop.
Actually, it's D-Sub 15.
Yes. Kill D-Sub 15. 2021. So...
Sorry, is this a hashtag we're going to try and get trending?
Yes. I want D-Sub 15 dead. And I will immediately have a lot of people who work in the server space be very angry with me. Who are just like, look, it just works, okay? We don't need quality. So
absolutely, and I have no problem with it being in the server space.
Yeah. Cancel D-Sub 15.
Who is D-Sub 15?
Or who is Sub 15 and why are they cancelled?
Yes, what did they do?
Right. Although we also need a new heckin' DisplayPort as well, because we're still on like 1.4B whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another discussion entirely.
But if you have DisplayPort 1.4B and you've got support on both sides, it will do like 4K 144 Hz, so...
Yeah, that's fair enough then. Yeah, it's good enough for what the vast majority of people are doing, I guess. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And then DisplayPort 2, I'm sure will do something silly like 8K at 120 Hz or something.
Yeah. Teltac says, imagine actually connecting a display to a server. Imagine having a physical server, right, Teltac?
You just use someone else's server.
Yeah. Serverless. Let's see. Asus updating BIOSes for TPM 2.0. I've seen a lot of BIOS updates for Windows 11 support so far.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that's just mainly just certification rather than...
I don't know.
Something useful,
what
but,
I've seen from comments that people have said is that it turns on FTPM for AMD and by default.
Yeah.
And also enables secure boot by default. So you now have to go in and disable those.
Yeah.
As opposed to having to go in and enable them. Oh, excuse me. So it means, obviously, if the CMOS gets cleared for some reason, you're now not completely boned.
Yeah.
As an end user.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Radeon HD 8390 for €20. For €20, I don't think you can go wrong. I didn't know.
I mean, other than the fact that, as far as I'm aware, that'll be on legacy driver support, which means that it won't get installed on Windows 10 by default.
No, it'll be a little bit jank. I mean, if it's all you can get your hands on, then sure, you'll be able to play games on that. So yeah.
Also, it's €20, so sure, why not?
For €20, I don't really think you can go wrong. I wouldn't pay any serious money for a Radeon HD full stop. I'd be looking for an RX. Let's see if you can find like an RX 470 or something like that, However, for €20, I don't think you're going to lose out on any money there. So, 5600X has TPM on the CPU? Yes, it does. Or FTPM. It is software or firmware, TPM. However, that is good enough for Windows 11, which is the operative here. So yeah. Add some extra warning. Yes, that's right. Yeah, I've received your package, Mike White. Thanks for sending it down. I haven't opened it up yet though, but I have received it. So yeah, pizza and cider tonight. Oh, maybe. I'm getting hungry, and I definitely want to relax tonight. I can tell you that much. Let's see, how are we doing? 1 hour 30. Yeah. We were going to build a computer today, but I don't know. I'm happy to do a. Here's the thing, guys. I was kind of expecting this episode today to be a chatty news episode, just because I'm just like, I'm tired and I can't be bothered to make effort. And I'm kind of on the mindset at the moment where I was thinking of alternating it. So we do 1 week is just a sit down and chat episode, and then the other week is we actually have something lined up to do this episode. That's kind of like, I'm thinking out loud here, because obviously the episodes where we're actually doing something, like building something or fixing something, they perform better. We get more views and everyone's more into it. But also it's more effort to do those episodes. And I don't want to say it might be overstating it to say that I find it fatiguing to do that every week, but it's certainly nice to have. It's certainly nice just to be able to just sit down and chat now and then. So I'm kind of thinking of alternating it. What do you think? Do you have an opinion on that?
Sure. I mean, I guess my comment would be, isn't the point to make an effort to get the viewers in?
I guess.
For the growth and the health and the RPM? CPM.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I suppose we'll try and do it as much. Yeah, I guess the answer is to try and do things as much as we can. Just every now and then I'm going to be tired and want to do a talky episode. So go on, Caradox, say, it's fine. Which, of course, is British for it's not fine.
This is a terrible idea, and I cannot possibly imagine the reasons you'd have for for airing this opinion. I've never known you to be so incorrect or wrong before.
Yes. What happens to your keys in FTPM if your CPU dies?
They die.
Yeah.
Your CPU's dead.
Yeah. Backup. Backup is the answer to all of this. TPM, encryption, and all of that is really bad from a repair and recovery perspective. However, if you back up, then there's no problem. And everyone backs up, right? I'm looking at you. You back up, right?
So, interesting point. I enabled BitLocker on my computer at home.
Okay.
Previously. And then I broke stuff.
Okay.
And then went to boot Windows, and Windows went, enter your recovery key. And I went, okay. And it went, go here. And I went, okay. I went there and then typed in a recovery key, and it went, ta-da!
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. And like 99% of people with TPM and all the rest of it are going to be using BitLocker. I think, and I think it's not going to be a problem. I guess the problem is it just means that now it's a case of, okay, well, signing in with a Microsoft account to make sure that all your recovery keys are backed up and stuff will be mandatory.
Oh, no.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. And it's like, well, that's kind of fine, really, because when you're signed in with a Microsoft account on Windows and you're using BitLocker and you've got your recovery keys backed up to your Microsoft account, it's really slick, man. It's really good. But then
and also then you have OneDrive as well if you want
it. But I know there's going to be a lot of people...
real-time syncing of your stuff.
Yeah, I know there's going to be a lot of people who are just like, I want to use a local account. And in a way,
okay.
I can kind of understand that.
Roll your own solution then. Just don't cry when it breaks.
Yeah, I guess.
If you want to do non-supported activities with your machine, then sure.
Yeah.
If you want to do things that are not recommended or not supported, don't complain when they don't work.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah. Teltalk says, I'd rather keys in FTPM than TPM, given the whole plaintext thing. Gross. Did the TPM module store stuff in plaintext then?
No, if you remember, we spoke about a couple of weeks ago,
or it's transmitted.
The bus.
Oh, yeah,
the
bus is plaintext. Yeah.
The thingy and the other thingy, it was all in plaintext.
Yes.
The thingies were thinginess.
Yeah, so hypothetically, Yeah, so surely that would be hilariously easy to snoop then, wouldn't it? All you got to do is stick an oscilloscope on it, and an oscilloscope will literally just read out the keys to you.
still have to have physical access to the machine.
Yes,
so,
and if you have physical access to the machine, arguably you're already screwed. So yeah.
But it's a case of you have to have physical access, and it means that the software, it still protects you against the software issues that were obviously being touted as reasons for why the software issue was being fixed.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Let's see. Chris S says, "Do you back up? I bet you don't." Actually, I'll have you know I do. I use Google Drive for my daily, and I have a I've got Google Drive is my main backup because I'm signed into Google Drive on to the same Google Drive account on about 4 different machines, and they are never all on at the same time. Which means if there is a problem with if my Google Drive got hacked and nuked or something like that, all I have to do is go and turn on one of the other computers offline and just be like, cool, I'll just recover all of my stuff from that one then. So that's my first line of defense. Then my stuff gets archived to another drive in my computer, which is effectively a hot backup. And then that drive gets snapshotted to a cold backup every couple of weeks, every month or so, something like that, which is the everything has gone wrong backup.
Yeah.
So that's my backup system. Backblaze, I'm kind of tempted. I like the idea of Backblaze, but my current setup is good enough. So
I'm in the inverse in the fact of I have my Microsoft account, the user directory syncing with OneDrive, just because that makes reconfiguring stuff faster.
Yeah.
But I have 0 data I care about. Like, I could lose literally everything I have on literally everything I have, and I'd be like, oh no.
Yeah.
Because I have literally nothing I care about.
I've got a reason for that. I've got lots of photos that I care about.
The only thing that I care about is my password manager.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have that saved somewhere else as well.
Yeah. I think my photos are the bit that I'd be the biggest sad about. My photos are most important to me.
I don't have any.
Most of the stuff that's on my there's loads of photos. There's some other stuff that is important, but also is in other places anyway. Most of my documents and stuff not super critical. It will be inconvenient, but not the end of the world. That's the only other thing as well is like I've got all of the original uploads for the app for the YouTube videos. Every video I've uploaded to YouTube, I've got the original export on my computer. And losing those would be a case of, that kind of sucks. I don't have the originals anymore.
Yeah.
I could download them from YouTube though. So it's like that would suck, but it wouldn't be the end of the world.
Certainly, if you were planning on re-uploading somewhere else, it's kind of this is the high quality edition. Yeah,
that's right.
The non-YouTube version.
But again, all of those videos they all go to the cold backup. So it would take a lot of work to actually lose that at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
So Omnicron, just keep going. Thank you very much for the 5, my dude. So concept of BitLocker is great with a Microsoft account, but as if you don't want a Microsoft account. Here's a question: Could you do BitLocker without a Microsoft account and just save your back? You could just save the recovery keys, couldn't you?
You can just save the recovery keys to a
and
USB
just store them
drive.
yourself,
or you can print them.
Yeah, I would honestly.
You can literally print them using a printer.
Yeah,
and have a piece of paper.
I think that's the solution for people who want to run Windows 11 without a Microsoft account. Is that you run Windows 11 BitLocker and you just save your recovery keys somewhere else.
Yeah.
So
I would save them twice. Use a pen drive.
Yeah.
And also print them.
Yeah, I would have a print off that I keep somewhere, and I would have a pen drive.
Or possibly print it multiple times and have the print offs in multiple locations.
Yeah, or just save it to multiple accounts. Because pro tip, have multiple accounts. Have more than one Google account. Have more than one Microsoft account. Because it also just means you can have a holding account. Like I've got a couple of accounts that I call my holding accounts. And
I've got BitLocker recovery keys tattooed on the arm, which is great.
And it just means that you can just save it to another holding account somewhere else that's under a completely different name. So if your Microsoft account gets nuked off the face of the earth and stuff like that, you still got it.
Yeah.
So yes. Yeet them in the cloud. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Whisper is best holding account. Yeah, that's it. One of my accounts is just for. It's kind of like, for example, it's just like I'm not the owner of the Adamant IT Discord. That's held by a holding account. Which routinely gets lots of messages from people going, "Why won't you answer my messages?" kind of thing. Every now and then I check on that account because I need to change something, and there's a load of DMs from people going, "Fine, well, screw you," and it's just like, if you knew anything about me, you'd know that this account doesn't send any messages or answer any messages.
Excellent.
Yeah.
But also, that's good because of the thing with the Discord bots that happened. Was it earlier this week?
Yeah.
Where people were clicking links for Discord bots that were added to servers and then nuked servers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you were the server owner and you clicked on a compromised link, your entire server and everyone in it got nuked. Whereas it's a case of, well, I'm not the owner of my server. That's on a holding account. So, yeah, it also means that if my personal Discord account gets compromised, you can't steal my server because I don't own it. That's in a holding account, So, yeah. So, yes. Let's see. What else was going on? There was other things that I was going to answer after the backup thing, and I lost them. I'm going to roll back a bit to see if I can find it. Can't find it. Lost it. Okay. Was there any other topics coming up? Yeah. Is it worth talking about the ongoing, because this is kind of related to the gigabyte power supply fiascos, the ongoing thing about companies changing the components on products. For example, like SSDs that have different controllers and NAND chips on them. The reason why I
don't know.
Well, see, the reason why initially when someone suggested that, this was suggested by Goofy Balls of Fire, I was like, it's a thing, it happens, we know about this, it's old news, no one cares. Like, it sucks, but it's just a thing. But then on the other hand, then it was mentioned that apparently the Crucial P2 switched from TLC to QLC. And that's kind of
I can't find any evidence of that.
Okay, do you reckon that was hearsay? Yeah.
Only because the fact of I could not find any advertising media that said it was TLC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Admittedly, I only searched for
Is it QLC now?
Yes.
Okay.
Possibly, maybe.
I'm going to look this up
because I can't see anything official from Crucial saying what NAND flash they use. Therefore, I'm kind of going, it doesn't matter if they change it. They never said it was something.
Yeah.
As long as it is a speed, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So.
Also, it's a SATA SSD basis kind of thing.
Well, it's an NVMe, or is this an NVMe drive with a SATA controller on it?
As far as I'm aware, it was based off of their old SATA ones. Yeah. So it's kind of a case of, well, why does it really matter? It's only going up to 2.4 gigabits peak potential maximum anyway.
Yeah.
It was never sold as an ultra blazing fast drive. It was never sold as a massively high endurance drive. It was sold as a budget drive. So it's kind of, I'm not saying that excuses people for lying to you, but as far as I can tell on the advertising media I've seen,
there was no higher expectation.
There was no defined components. Yeah. There was no specification saying these are the components you will get.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of going, yeah, swapping parts out. Certainly if they gave different parts to media reviews and then said, here's actually the one we're selling, that's wrong.
Yeah.
But if they just went, here are the parts, oh, this week it's different parts, next week it's different parts, but they all meet the minimum specification that they've listed, I don't actually see the issue. Particularly if it were, say, a Samsung 980 Pro that was doing this, or an SN850, something like that, a drive that's being sold at like £380, £390, a massively expensive amount of money, then I can understand that being an issue. But when it's a case of the P2 is like the cheapest NVMe SSD, it's kind of
yeah, that's fair. Tom's Hardware, because Goofy Balls of Fire was actually in chat and said German hardware magazine PC Games Hardware released an article of it in August, However, I've just been Google searching to see if I can find that, and I've just come up with a Tom's Hardware article here titled Retesting Crucial's P2 SSD After QLC Downgrade. So, yeah, that is a thing that has occurred. And
I guess to a degree, though, my point is kind of a fact of I can't actually see where Crucial P2 said it would be TLC.
Yeah. I think it's just a bit mean because a product comes out and it gets reviewed and then later on they change it in such a way that they know will affect the performance of the device.
But if it still performs within the bounds of the specification they originally gave,
well,
I don't know what difference
that's just it, because I'm looking at this. Let me bring this up on screen, everyone, a sec. Hang on a sec. This is transition. This is Tom's Hardware we're looking at. Tom's Hardware unsavory flash swap. So making it a poor performer and even worse value. I mean, this is all subjective. However, the TLDR is, let's zoom in on this slightly. If we look at these charts here, P2 500 gig, P2 500 with QLC, I mean, come on, that's margin of error. Then in this one, let's see, P2. Okay, here we go. So copy transfer rate for 50 gigs. There's where your QLC is kicking in. So yeah, QLC has tanked big copies. Yeah, that's the problem there. Because there's another one down here where, again, in this particular test, storage, quick system drive benchmark score. The benchmark is, again, negligibly different, not meaningfully different. Synthetic, so the red one and the black one. Slightly, about here and there and everywhere. I mean, the original one was a bit all over the place anyway, so that's neither here nor there. However, that one, where was that test there? Yeah, that copy transfer rate, man, 98. That's terrible, man.
That's also copying a 50 gig.
Yeah. Well, that's where QLC will fall over. And I speak from experience there because I've got a QLC as my data drive in my PC at home, and it does fall over on big transfers. That's where QLC really sucks. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that one is potentially... That's the thing, is that, like you say, they never claimed otherwise, but at the same time, a change that big going from TLC to QLC does feel a bit disingenuous. I feel like they should have released it under they should have called it a P3 or something like that. If you're going to change the product that much, I think you should change the name of it, and I think this is why it's, I don't know. Can you check from the PC whether a drive is TLC or QLC? No, you need to look up the model drive of your SSD and search based on that.
It's also going to be a case of just benchmarking it.
Yeah, benchmarks will tell you. If you copy a large amount of data, like about 50 gigs of data to it, from a high-speed source. So, for example, if you've got two SSDs, if you've got one of them that's like a Samsung, which is absolutely going to be a TLC, a Samsung Evo, if you copy from a trusted high-speed source onto your suspect drive, you copy about 50 gigs, and the transfer speed will be like 1,000 megabits per second, 100 megabits per second. There'll be a massive step as it suddenly caches up and then tanks. Now the thing is, as a data drive, I have all of my Steam library is on a QLC drive. It's on an Intel 660p, and it's fine because my games don't need to read and write at 1,000 megabits per second.
They also don't need to read and write 50 gig at a time.
Exactly. So it's fine. I'm not saying that QLC drives are garbage and you shouldn't have them or you should feel bad. However, if you're in the habit of shunting large chunks of data around, like if you copy, like for example, when I'm copying large amounts of video to that data SSD and the transfer speed tanks, I'm just like, bloody QLC drive, So it depends on what you're doing, whether it's a problem or not.
But it's also kind of a case of if you're buying literally the cheapest NVMe drive out there.
Yeah.
It's kind of a case of,
however,
then you're using it, and then you're using it for very write-intensive processes.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a case of...
Yeah. You bought a low-end drive, don't act surprised that it's not very high performance.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Samsung drives cost more.
Yeah.
They're faster, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So,
it's kind
yeah.
of the case of it's why it's like the Intel 660p,
Yeah.
why that is a 2 terabyte drive versus the Western Digital SN 850. I've just bought a Western Digital SN 850 because in an Antex Destroyer benchmark, absolutely ridiculous amounts of drive writes and so on, that was the highest performing one. So it's a case of I wanted that so I could test in my computer, is there actually a difference between the 660p, a generic reasonably good QLC drive, and this absolutely maxed out, definitely the best of the best kind of class of drive. And it was just kind of going, I can't really tell a difference.
Yeah. Like,
So it's like-
we can run specific tests that will show up the difference, but will
Yeah.
you see it day to day?
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of a case of I'm in a position where I can absolutely do that. So it's like I thought I might as well, and it's just like
Yeah.
it's not that much of a problem.
Yeah.
And we've hit the point where faster SSDs using NAND flash aren't going to get much faster for the general consumer.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've hit peak performance for generic drives currently.
You might not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like.
Yeah, basically at the moment.
Yeah. Well, there is no word of a one above quad, like an 8, an OLC.
I've no idea.
Yeah, because the way it works is we had I can't remember what TLC stands for, but it's to do with the layers, the way that the NAND cells are stacked up or something like that.
The number of bits.
Yeah.
It's the number of bits.
Yeah.
Because
And
you have S,
we had
which is single,
yeah,
and then T, which
that's
is
right.
tri.
yeah, and
and
then
then
we had QLC,
which
which
is
is
quad.
quad. And then I think there is one above that. Oh yeah, it's 5. It's pent. It's PLC. Yeah, that's because I saw it recently.
PVC. I mean, wait, hold on.
Yeah. So yeah, triple level cell. Yeah. So there is a penta level cell coming up as well, which will probably give us higher capacities. But again, because we're stacking up higher amounts of bits, which means that there is you have to go deeper into the closet to get to all of the data, which means it's slower to access.
And
So,
also, if you move stuff, you kind of effectively have to unwrite and rewrite stuff
Yeah.
and bits, and
Yeah.
it's very. It starts getting very read once.
Yeah.
Sorry, write once, read many.
Yeah.
I was about to
Certainly
say
there's
word,
diminishing
but that's not
returns at
right.
the very least.
It's very good for obviously closer to cold storage,
Yeah.
lukewarm storage.
Yes.
I'm just intrigued by that.
Tepid storage.
You know.
I'm just going to interrupt a sec, just
Yeah,
because
go.
it's going to drop off screen. Is thanks Christopher David for the $20 super chat earlier on. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to get to the original point, it's a case of, you know, I with companies changing things. Again, like you say, Crucial have never claimed that it is a TLC drive, so they can make it whatever they want. But I
yes.
feel like they should have changed the name of it if they're changing the nature of the drive that much, because it just means that when someone says, "Oh, I'm going to get a Crucial P2, is it any good?" It's like, well, which one are you getting? If you've got a new old stock of the TLC one, it's a pretty good drive, but if you've got one of the latest ones that's QLC, then it's a low-end drive, you know. Well, when I say a pretty good...
Arguably,
when I say
I'd
a pretty
it was
good drive...
always.
Yeah, okay, it's always a low-end drive, but a low-end TLC drive is respectable, whereas a QLC drive, it's a case of, okay, this is okay in certain circumstances, but we have to now consider your use case. Whereas if it's a TLC drive, by and large, if it's a TLC drive, it'll be fine whatever you want to do with it. You know,
I guess,
broadly
but
speaking.
I can't think of a usage. I can't think of any usage that the quote average quote consumer is going to bump into that's going to be affected.
Yeah.
Or maybe is going to be affected once per year.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of a case of I'm just like, it feels like such a non-issue.
Yeah.
And whilst I realise I say that is as someone who's just spent the best part of £400 on a NVMe drive, I did that because I wanted to prove the point that a £60 NVMe drive is just as good for the user experience.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
And it's also a case of like, it's also bearing in mind that there's still lots of people that are still coming up from hard drive storage.
Yeah.
And like, the thing is we look at this graph and it's just like, good grief, this SSD drops to 100 megs per second under heavy loads. And it's like, yeah, but also it's going to do 100 megs per second on like 4K ops kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas your hard drive on 4K ops is going to be down to the kilobytes per second.
Yeah.
So like even the crappiest of SSDs is still night and day different dimension from hard drive storage.
Exactly. And I think that's...
it's kind of a non-issue really, isn't it? For the vast majority of people.
To loop back to LTT that everyone loves to hate.
Yeah.
They did that video where they had the PC that was the SATA connected SSD.
Yeah.
The SATA M2 SSD.
Yeah.
And then the ultra most expensive, fastest possible NVMe SSD. Yeah. And no one could tell the difference, basically.
That's right. The only people that got it right more or less just guessed lucky.
Yeah. I think the only one that got it right was Anthony because he benchmarked the drives.
Yeah, and also it's heckin' Anthony. Of course he would know, So
kind of thing. So it was just kind of like... I'm not saying that this makes this excusable to effectively lie to people. But at the same time, I feel like it's such a non-issue.
Yeah.
But then at the same time... the consumer rights thing, the doing what's right for the consumer thing. There are two sides to the argument, I feel. And it's a difficult path to walk.
Yeah.
And I think the line that we should walk is this is unacceptable because it's anti-consumer.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But also the other thing of we should remind, quote, the consumer that it's absolutely fine and not actually an issue for day-to-day use. It doesn't make it bad. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That.
I see what you mean there. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
So that kind of, those lines. It is bad and it is wrong because it's anti-consumer, but to remind the consumer that actually it's okay for the class of drive, the value proposition of the drive, it is okay. It doesn't mean that the thing you own is now trash and needs to be thrown out.
That's it. This is very much the gamer's nexus point here, isn't it? Where it's just like, well, if we're being hypercritical, then this is bad. However, this is under hypercritical analysis where we're objectively trying to separate the wheat from the chaff. Yeah. Whereas, in a broad everyday scenario, it's actually a pretty non-issue.
Yeah.
But if we're actually trying to dig into objective testing, then yes, this is bad. So yeah. Also, I'm buying a Fractal torrent. So yeah.
Oh dear.
I'm not going to. I'll show the result in a moment, but I'm not going to do it live just because there's inevitably going to be some personal data appear at some point, and I'm just not going to run the risk.
My personals.
Yes. Oh, there we go. My mobile number has just appeared, so that's definitely glad that hasn't been done. How do I continue? Oh, I have to say, don't protect my basket. Do not protect my basket. I do not require protection. I too like to live dangerously. Right.
You should probably get rid of that address.
Yeah, that one's dead now. I've handed in the keys to 7A High Street.
It's dead. It's gone.
It's gone. The building has been burnt down. It hasn't.
Wait, no.
It's a bummer that this thing is on back order, so I'm not going to see it for a couple of weeks anyway.
Yeah, the 24th they expect stock.
Oh, 24th. Oh, that's not too
Monday.
bad. That's Monday. Well,
Tuesday. So you might get it Wednesday.
I might get it next week. Yeah. Rad.
So we can build in it for the stream next week.
We could. No, I want to do a mainline video, though. Yeah, I'd want to do a mainline video of that, I think. So, yeah. Let's see. Is that still current? It looks like it. I don't buy from Scan very often because I do everything on Amazon. So, yeah. Right, we're nearly there. I've just got to... here it is.
Do you know what you should have also added to this order?
What?
Power supplies. Cooling solutions for Intel sockets.
Oh, yeah. Since I was placing an order with Scan, I should have bought a bunch of other stuff, but I can get everything else from Amazon, so... And have Prime. Oh, they didn't ask for any of my extra details or CV. Fine. Okay. Not going to object there. Okay. All right, how are we doing? This is all public information.
I like how your invoice address is wrong. You need to update your
God,
addresses.
it is, isn't it? Yeah, I do need to update my addresses.
Have you also update... Oh, no, well, never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Oh, well.
It's fine.
Oh, the answer to all of that is no. Yeah, so yeah. Caradog says, have you updated? No, I have not. I have not updated.
Are you paying for your electricity?
No. So, yeah.
Are you, in fact, now stealing items from the general public?
It's something along those lines. Right, well, that'll do. Yeah, okay, here we go. Hang on a sec.
It has occurred. It has
yes.
happened.
There's personal data everywhere. However, there we go. There is the bottom where it's got deliver to the shop, which is public knowledge. And there we go. Total, I paid £201.48 for this case. So it's done. It's happened. It's occurred. I am now the prospective owner of a Fractal torrent. It happened. And I want to give a big thanks to everyone who has pitched in today. Big thanks.
There's still time.
Yeah. No. Someone earlier on was just like, donation baiting. And I'm just like, that's exactly what I don't want to do.
I don't want to do that, except that's legitimately what I'm going to do, because I have no morals. I mean, I have many morals. They're just available for a fee.
Yeah. Anyway. Oh, God. Yeah. Defildo says, Chris S, you must be smashed by now, because Chris S is playing Heck drinking game. Look, I say heckin' all the time because otherwise it's F-bombs. And I've trained myself out of F-bombs to just heck all the time. Because heck is free, man.
That's like 7 now.
Yeah. Yeah. You brought this on yourself, Chris S. Yeah, you brought this on yourself. There's also a grey torrent. Yeah, I went for the black RGB clear tempered glass one. That's the correct choice, I think. That's the correct choice. So yeah.
However, on that bombshell, good night.
Yeah, it is time to go. I tell you what, we'll give one more just because I think it's potentially an interesting one. Noah says, what's the negatives of using a 4K TV as a monitor, Caradog? Because, like, broadly speaking, you've had a good experience with having a big-ass TV as your main monitor. But also, I saw the other day you said to someone, don't do this.
Yes, absolutely.
Just to add context, Caradog doesn't run dual screens. He just has
No, I run dual screens.
Of course you do. Caradog has a 52-inch?
55-inch LG CX.
Yeah, just on his desk. He has a very deep desk. But
it is a 90-centimetre deep desk.
Yeah, so it's like a metre deep. That's 3 foot deep.
Yes.
So yeah.
I didn't realise that modern desks are 60 centimetres deep.
Yeah, it's garbage.
I was like, what the hell is this pathetic mess?
Yeah.
This is not a desk.
Yep. Modern desks are garbage depth. Anyway, yeah, so Caradog has a big-ass 55-inch OLED TV as his main monitor.
Yes, which then means I sit 1.5 meters away from it.
Yeah.
Minimum. So, from that perspective, it's fine. But yes, then my second monitor is a Dell 30-inch. Literally the matching one to that one.
Your baby monitor is this little 30-inch monitor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you have it in portrait?
No.
Okay.
Not anymore.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I was testing.
Yeah, fair enough.
See whether I liked it. Yeah. I didn't get on with it.
What are the downsides of this, though?
The downsides of it are it's 55 inches.
Yeah, it's just too big.
Yes.
Do you have to do too much head panning, even at 1.5 meters away kind of thing?
Yes, also because the way I work doesn't work well on... because I like to full screen stuff across Windows.
Yeah.
I prefer having 3 screens to 2 large screens.
Yeah, for window organization.
Yeah. For the actual organization and so on of my windows, I prefer 3 smaller monitors to 2 larger ones, which I've found in the office, because in the office I have 3 smaller
Yeah.
I have three 24-inch monitors. Small.
Yeah.
As that, and I prefer that layout. However, the issue is for content creation, it's a case of it's too big.
Yeah.
And there is looking around, and it feels very space inefficient.
Yeah.
For sort of window layout and so on. For watching stuff, it's great. For playing games on, it's great. For reading stuff, it's fine.
Yeah.
But basically, when I'm reading stuff, I only put it in my middle tile kind of thing. A lot of the time,
you find yourself not using most of the space.
Well, I put stuff around it
Yeah.
that I am looking at. But if I'm reading something, I will put it just in that box there, kind of thing, and then I'll have stuff around it in this space here.
Yeah.
So
I suppose in a way you can do a bit of a Minority Report thing where you can just sort of have stuff and be like, I'm going to put this up here for a sec, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I do a lot of it.
Yeah.
But it's just a case of it was £1,500, and I'm just kind of going, it's really good.
Yeah.
But boy, do you need to have the setup for it.
Yeah.
It is not something I would recommend to people.
Yeah.
Not because it's bad, but because you need to know stuff to do it. You need to already be in the category of, I spend lots of money on computers.
Yeah. And £1,500 will net you two astonishingly good 27-inch screens. £1,500 would get you all singing, all dancing dual 27s.
Yeah,
and then you could have another 24 to one site for Discord.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, £1,500 will get you two of those.
Yeah.
Which are proper professional color graded
studio
panels.
monitors. Yeah.
So it's kind of a case of it gives you a heck of a lot of monitor, that much money. But it was a case that the response time is amazing because it's true 1 millisecond response time. There's no shifting, there's no overshoot, there's nothing.
Yeah.
That is incredible. It's 60 hertz. It feels like 120 hertz IPS monitors I've used.
Yeah.
At 120 hertz, I'm just like,
that's the thing. It's like it's only 120, but the response time is so fast that feels even slicker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the problem I've got with my monitors. My monitors are 165, and I do notice it, but only when I don't have it. I don't sit in front of it and be like, wow, this is amazing. It's when I'm not in front of them that I'm just like, oh, 60 hertz kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I tell you when I noticed it was when I had some friends over a while back and we were playing Age of Empires in the shop. It's just suddenly just panning around Age of Empires. I was just like, oh, 60 FPS. Whereas I'd gotten accustomed to having 165 hertz panning in Age of Empires. That's where I noticed it. And
I literally overheard you say that and was just like, yeah, okay, now you've seen it.
Yeah. But when I'm sitting in front of the monitors, they don't blow my mind, which makes me incredibly sad that I don't sit in front of the monitors going, this is awesome. It's only when I don't have them that I'm just like, oh yeah, my monitors at home are better than this.
Yeah. I also think the thing as well with that is I didn't notice as much because I went from really good screens.
Yeah. That's the same mistake I had. Yeah.
Them, whilst they're not gaming screens,
Yeah.
they're reasonably fast for art screens,
Yeah.
but also they are one of the highest quality IPS panels you can buy.
Yeah.
They're factory calibrated. I've recalibrated them.
Yeah.
They come from Dell, and they're from Dell's ultra premium line of monitors, etc.
Yeah.
So like I came from really, really good monitors.
Yeah.
And then the other monitors I use are Dell's cheaper version of that.
Yeah.
The smaller version of that. So it's kind of a case of I was already coming from really good monitors.
Yeah. Big same.
So stepping up to that OLED 120 hertz. Initially, for a while, I was like, oh, I might go back because the colours, the colour accuracy and things like that. But then I was just like, yeah, but the true 1 millisecond response time. Not marketing BS 1 millisecond response monitor. It's actually 13 or 14 milliseconds true response. It's a case of because it's that true 1 millisecond on-offness and so on. Yeah,
fair enough.
And then it's nice and fast. For that, the brightness is amazing. The only issue with the brightness is sometimes if you're playing HDR stuff, it is really flashy. and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and it's pitch black everywhere, you suddenly go, my head hurts. Oh yeah, I've literally been industrial strobe lighting myself.
Yes.
Because it does 1,000 nits. And it's like, 1,000 nits flashing at my face. Oh yeah, it's quite bright.
Yes. That's why I'm not super into HDR content and super bright monitors. You know, like my monitors are only 400 nit and I run them at low brightness and I still find that they're too bright. The only reason why I don't turn them down is because the way I have them set up, it's very awkward to get to the brightness controls.
Yeah.
But that's another thing entirely. But yeah. Last thing, because we are going to start wrapping up. Also, Nikki Noki Naki Nu. I recognise that name because that's a very memorable one. Thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Much appreciated.
Oh my God.
Just a last one. Overlord says, super off topic, but you saw the 5700 XT review. How do you think that GPU is holding up today? Well, it's Caradog's GPU.
Well, actually, it's the 5700 XT 50th anniversary edition.
Yeah, Overlord. Get it right. With Lisa Su's signature on it.
Not anymore, because it's got a water block on it.
Anyway. Yeah, how are you still gaming on it, or is it yeah? Because it's not your main at the moment.
It's now in my office PC.
Yeah, God, that'd make a lot of people angry, wouldn't it? But well, the thing is, though, it's not about with your gaming on it. It's the fact that you continue to own it because it's a special edition card.
Absolutely.
But yeah, well, the 5700 XT,
it's doing well.
Yeah, it's fine, isn't it? You know,
absolutely.
Like, when we reviewed it, it was a good card. I mean, it was never a top end card.
No, but it's still doing very well.
I think it's also a symbolic card of AMD actually getting their act together and putting out competitive GPUs, wasn't
it? Absolutely.
It's more of a symbolic thing, as this was AMD's "we're getting good" card kind of thing.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's absolutely fine. I think the thing that blew my mind was I did some gaming on it at 1080p, and I just went, oh yeah, the 5700 XT is actually capable. Yeah. I'd completely forgotten because obviously the time before that I'd last used it was at 4K.
Yeah.
I'd last used it at 4K.
Yeah.
And just kind of being like, oh yes, it can do just about 60.
It's a 1440p graphics card, isn't it?
It's very much a 1440p graphics card. But as the kind of the point, as we said in the video when I got it, is the case of it was slightly faster than SLI 980s.
Yeah.
So, at least in The Witcher, for a part there. So, it was kind of a case of it very much did its job. And it scaled much better to 1440p.
And didn't have the hassle of SLI and all the rest of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Also kind of a case of...
yeah, because that's the problem, is it just... You say sort of, oh man, are we really competing with 980s? Even if they are SLI, but then also it's a case of, yeah, however, those 980s in SLI were only going toe-to-toe on their best day. On any other day, obviously, because of the quirfles of SLI, it was a case of, no, they were not going toe-to-toe with the 5700 XT.
Yeah, exactly. But, so it's just kind of, but yes, it's very good. It's very nice.
Yeah.
And it's still doing absolutely fine. And yeah, I can see no particular reason why you'd upgrade from it unless you suddenly went, oh yes, I have a spare £2,000 to buy a special edition 3090 kind of thing. But even then, you'd purely be upgrading for the sake of upgrading, because I can't really see why you'd need to replace it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Fair enough. Very good. Yeah. Right, I think it's time to finish up.
Absolutely.
Omnicron, man, I would take that off your hands if you were closer. However, it's not worth the hassle for me by the time I've accounted for delivery on that. But yes, that's a compelling choice. Someone should hit him up about that. Fine. OMG, you found some of the schematics for the CH341A mod? Yes, I have a resource for that already. Yeah, that's right. I'm already aware of that, but thanks for the heads up. So yeah. Right, we're going to get out of here. Video to be published later on today. I'm literally just going to title it up, stick a thumbnail on it, and publish it as soon as we wrap up now. So thank you very much. You'll deliver it if I want it. I wouldn't want to put you through the hassle. It's going to cost you the same amount to get it to me, man. But I appreciate the offer. So yeah. Anyway, I'm off. Thank you, everyone. We'll be back next Saturday, as always. Thank you for all the super chats today. Thank you for all the support. I bought the Fractal Torrent. Big thanks for your help with that. I'll make a cracking good video about it.
Absolutely.
My style. So yeah. Thanks,
Mice
everyone.
style. Hold on a minute.
Yeah. And literally as we're going, what laptop do I use? I've got a Dell Latitude
something
5450 or something like that. Dell Latitude E series. That's it. Thank you. Bye.
Toodles. Au revoir. Salut.